All right, let's start it off. Let's get into groups. So with groups is a lot of things. And like I said, if you attended basics, you already know this. If you didn't attend basics, it's probably because you're more savvy in the ready world, and so you already know about them. Groups can do so many things. Groups can be used for reporting, for tracking, being able to say, okay, how many people do I have in a certain location? How many people do I have that are in this location that are also on a certain security profile? It's great for like reporting purposes. Great for notifications and workflows because you can use groups and notifications and workflows for sending, communications and approvals and things like that. Also, groups are used for permissions. So, if there's an individual that's supposed to be able to, do a certain kind of action, like maybe approve timesheets for a group of people, you can use groups to be able to grant those permissions without changing managers and things like that. So, a lot of cool things that can be done with groups. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and just kind of review what was covered in basics. Let's first, if you have not already, please make sure that you're in your training environment. That's the wrong one. No, I just closed you. Hold on. Oh, mine got replaced. Well, that's just rude. All right, hold on, guys. Sorry. Sorry. All right, cool. Let's get into our training companies. Okay. Before we get into the group screen and just kind of review, I do want to make sure to revisit our auto groups. We're also going to do a little bit of assignments with the cost centers just so that we can actually create some of these auto groups. So in our menus, feel free to follow along with me. In our menus, we're going to go under global setup. And then under global setup, we're going to go to company setup. And that's because we want to make sure the auto groups are enabled. So I'm going to do company setup. And if we go to the company config tab, that is where you can ensure all of your auto groups are enabled. So all of these got enabled during basics, but we did create a new cost center tree with project codes. So since I've done that, since this was updated, I'm also going to check off the project codes. So basically all of these boxes just need to be checked off because that opens up the auto groups, meaning the system will create the group for us. So I've got those enabled. The other auto group that gets created is kind of attached to this up here. So if you remember, when you enable a manager field, and obviously we have 6 of them, when you enable this field, what it's doing is it's enabling the field in the employee record. So when we checked off this box in basics to open up manager 1, that opened up that manager 1 field in the employee record. So that way, for example, we could go into Mildred Babson and we could assign Mildred Babson's manager as Julie Adams, right? That's what that was for. Well, what else is controlled here is this permissions. And again, covered in basics. What the permissions box is, and this does tie into groups because the items that you have here in this permissions box also have to be enabled in the security profile in order for it to work. It's Ready's version of a two-pronged approach to security. And it's only for these items. It's not for everything out of security. It's just for these items. So for example, if whoever is in the manager 1 field on an employee record wants to be able to edit account information, I'd have to check it here, but I'd also have to ensure that that individual, that their security profile allows for the edit of account information. If either one of those are turned off, this individual cannot perform that action. It's a two-pronged approach to security. Okay, so it's got to be both. It can't be one or the other. But I just point this out because when we talk about managing group permissions, most of it's actually done on the groups page, with the exception of these. If we're talking about any of the manager fields that are opened up in the employee record, the permissions are managed here. Now, I am not going to change any settings in here. The only thing I did was enable those other 2 project codes, and I'm just going to save it. Other than that, we're not changing anything with the permissions. Any questions on that? Okay. Um, Before I go to the group page, I want to actually add some people to some of these auto groups. And the way that I'm going to do that, the way we're going to do that, is we're going to assign some default cost centers to our employees, because that'll essentially add them to one of these auto groups. So what I'm going to do is in the menu, under the gear icon, we're going to go to Mass Edit. And then we're going to do Mass Edit Profiles. So even though I'm working for the cost center, it's still under Mass Edit Profiles. And just to make it easy, we're just going to kind of split it down the middle. I'm going to take the first 10 employees listed here, Julie to Douglas. So I'll do select on page. I'm going to do a mass edit. And in the cost center widget, just below the manager widget, I am going to assign a default location. I'll go ahead and do the first group. And honestly, guys, if you want to change up the locations, I don't mind. I'm going to do my first group to be, we'll do just Indiana. So all I did there was expand on East, North, Central, and then chose Indiana. I'm not going to go as deep as Indianapolis. I'll just choose Indiana. So these first 10 employees are going to be assigned to that cost center. So I'll apply the change. And then I'm going to come back out, and then instead of, like I said, instead of like expanding on the page, I'm just going to split it. So what I'll do is arrow over to page 2. So that's Emily to Janet Cole. And I'm going to select these 10, do a mass edit, and I'll assign them to New Jersey. So again, default location. Jersey is Mid-Atlantic? Yeah. So under Mid-Atlantic, I'm just going to choose New Jersey. And then we're not going to actually assign one to Jane Brown. Okay. So go ahead and take a minute to get your cost centers assigned. And then we'll actually go ahead and take a look at the groups. I'll give you a minute here. All right. Any issues with that? Okay. All right. Well, then now let's go ahead and actually like take a look at the groups. So in the menu, I did Indiana and Jersey, but if you did Illinois, it really doesn't matter. It's totally fine either way. You could pick whatever you wanted. But I did Indiana. Okay, so to navigate to the groups page, we're going to be under the gear icon. We're actually going to go back to global setup. And then under global setup is a sub menu for groups. And under groups, to see all of the groups, you actually go to the edit option. And once you're in here, these are all the groups that are currently set up. Now, if you haven't created any groups for, like filter-based groups or manual groups or anything like that, then the only thing you're actually looking at here is any of those auto groups that we've got enabled. Okay. So if you look, you're seeing, some of these auto groups here, like the employee type, jobs. There's cost centers in here. You'll notice here I'd have to expand. Hey guys, can you check your mutes for me? I'm getting just a little bit of background noise. Here, I'll expand on that a little bit. Okay, so you can see here, there's some default locations and stuff. These are all the auto groups. The only ones I really want to point out here, one is the all company employee group. This is a group that is always created. It always exists in every single company. It contains all of the employees, including terminated, active, inactive, rehired. It includes everybody. And you'll see here it's non-editable. However, what you can do is add a manager to the group. And this is what was done in basics. Jane Brown is our company admin, but Jane Brown does not have any direct reports. Nobody reports to her. She's just the individual that is responsible at this company for maintaining the ready software at their company, right? Well, in order for her to be able to maintain things and troubleshoot things and fix things, she should be able to see all employees at the company, right? But she doesn't have direct reports. So without direct reports, she can't see anybody. The only time you can see, my team and see people under my team is if you actually have a team. Well, since she doesn't have a team, what we did, and this was done in basics, is we added her a manager of this group. So that way when she logs in, she can see all employees so she can do what she needs to do as being the company admin. Now you'll notice that there's two icons here for every group. The pencil allows for you to edit the group members. Now, which of course I'm not going to be able to do here because it's not editable, but basically the people that are in the group are on the left, the people not in the group are on the right. So if you wanted to move them around, you could, if it was a group that you could edit. It doesn't change anything. So like, let's say I moved somebody from Illinois to Indiana in here. It would not change their employee record. It would just change the particular group members for other reasons, like whether it be permissions or reporting, notifications, things like that. So that's the first icon. The second icon is how you add those managers. So if I click on the double person icon, we can see here that Jane Brown is the manager of all the groups, or of all the people. And that is on purpose because she needs to be able to see these people to be able to troubleshoot stuff. And if we look, if I click the pencil here, you can see that she has every single permission. But remember, if we were doing this for, say, a different individual, we'd have to ensure that their security profile allows for that action. Because she's a company admin, she has full access. So I know that her security profile has the ability to do that. But if I deselect this and save it, even though her security profile allows for her to edit account information, she wouldn't be able to perform it if I deselected that. Okay. Gregor, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's because the view of the group members, the group members view, if you go to System all company employees, in the previous screen, and click on the group members, the pencil, I don't have the same view that you do. So I can only see one screen. Yeah. So there, I only have the group members, the left panel, but not the right one.
Same here.
Okay, let's try. I'm just curious if it'll go in a different, pick a different one.
Okay. I actually noticed that on the basics course. Yeah, the same thing.
Okay.
Review group
I
permission.
had to,
Right.
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, there was multiple people there.
The view groups permission button on the right end, or I'm sorry, view edit group. One of the buttons up on the right hand side, I think, does it. If you click.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but that's weird. Then if I click that, then I
Yes.
get two buttons.
Well, when the view group permissions is for how you add managers. That's not. It's a completely different view. This is. I do know the answer to this, but I have to. Give me a minute because I've got to, this has happened to people in the past and I've got to channel back to that. For right now, don't worry about it because we're not going to be changing anything in here. I do
Okay,
know
no
that,
problem.
yeah, I do know how to do it. I just got to channel back to what it was. So thank you for letting me know. I've seen multiple people put it in the chat here that that's happening to them as well. So let me take a look at that and I'll figure out how to get that fixed for you guys and I'll let you know. So I'll follow back up on that for sure. But like I said, we're not changing anything in here right now. So it's more so just being able to view it. So it's okay for now. But thank you for letting me know. Um, okay, so those are the two different buttons that you have here of the ability to use, for the different groups and things like that. And then you're going to see here, like here is my default location for Indiana. Notice it's got 10 members, and that's because of what I just did. I added 10 employees to the Indiana Cost Center. Same with Jersey. You'll notice that I still have this one here. I still have a default location of none because I didn't assign Jane Brown to a location. So this one individual here, this one member is going to be Jane Brown. Okay. So this, again, just kind of looking at it from a review perspective. Any questions on any of that? And then, like I said, I'll follow up on that. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Okay, cool. Well, before I jump out of groups, I do want to show you, you'll notice that when you expand on the groups menu option here, so edit is where you go to view all the groups, but then there are 3 different group reportings. So I thought I'd just quickly show you these because they're pretty cool and they're pretty helpful. First one is the employee group membership. This is going to show you by employee which group they're a part of. And in this case, I'd actually recommend that you use the group feature, grouping groups, something like that. Uh, in these reports, you can filter by using the column filters, you can actually group by those. So that way you can view reports differently. So for example, what I'm going to do here is with the employee ID, I'm going to click this caret. And if I click the caret, I get this option to group by this column. So what's going to happen here is it's going to group it by the employee ID. So I can see that for employee ID 1000, which happens to be Julie Adams, here are all of the groups that she's a part of. And as you scroll over, you're going to start to see it for other people. So it's a great way to just view, okay, by employee, what groups are they a part of? So that's one report. The manager access group is all about the managers. So it's going to show you all the managers that are in the company, period. And it's going to show you which group they're a manager of. So like Julie Adams is a manager of the manager 1 group. And here are the permissions that she has. Jane Brown is the manager of the all company employees, and this is the permissions that she has. So you're going to be able to see that all the managers, what their group is, and what their permissions is. So that's about the managers. And then we have one that kind of brings those two together, which is a relationship between the manager and employees. So I'm going to be able to see, okay, here's the manager, Julie Adams. She's a manager of Mildred Babson. Here are the permissions she has over Mildred Babson, and it's because of the manager 1 group. So again, kind of just seeing that relationship. Any questions on that? Let me make a note of the group view. I literally had it in my last class, and I guess I just haven't had enough coffee to remember how we fix that. Group view in pencil. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Let's review some notifications. So staying under gear icon under global setup, we have our notifications down here. And notifications are, I mean, exactly what they sound like. They're just a quick notification. It's just an email. It's auto-generated based off of something happening in the system. We get to configure the notification, and then whenever it happens, it gets sent out to whomever we deem it necessary. This was something that was created during basics, so we'll just do a quick review. If you click the new notification in the top right corner, you'll see that it's separated out by kind of categories. So like as you scroll, you'll see the different types of notifications there are. It's a lot of HR notifications, but as you scroll down, you'll start to see some time ones. So like here's employee timesheet notifications. On the second page, there's like time off request notifications, overtime request notifications, a lot of payroll stuff. So they're all categorized out so that way you know where to go to kind of look for it. What we'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and create another notification just to kind of revisit here. Under the account grouping, which remember account is equals employee, it's AKA employee. So what I'll do here is I'll create a notification for when an employee is created in the system. So I'm going to just click the flag here. You're welcome to do this with me, guys, but you don't have to. I think it's part of post work. Again, it's just a review. So I'll do for the name, I'll do new hire. I want it to be active, and then I have my option to choose my recipients, and there's all these different options here. And maybe I have a new hire notification, like multiple of them, because they're being sent to different places, and so they're configured a little differently. So maybe this notification is going to the employee to say, "Welcome to UKG. We're so excited to have you," right? I can send it to a specific email or multiple emails for that matter. You just have to separate it by a comma. Is it going to the new employee's account manager to say, hey, you've got a new employee that's starting on X date. Make sure you have their credentials set up. I don't know, making it up. And then here's where groups can come in, where I could add a group in here. I always like to use example because you can create like a manual group. You can create a filter-based group and you can create a manual group. And with a manual group, you literally are just like, okay, I want to take Mildred, John, and Emily Williams and put them in a group. There's no overlapping criteria. It's just these are the people I want in a group. Well, companies may do something like that to create like maybe an activities group. The activities groups is responsible for setting up welcome kits and birthday parties and anniversaries and retirements, whatever it may be. So maybe we pull in a group here to say, hey, activities committee, we have a new person starting. Make sure you do what you do, something like that. I'm just going to keep it as account manager. The when on this one is there is no choice. You can't change it. It's just when it occurs. So when the account is created in the system. Like with birthday, you could pick when you wanted it to send. Was it after the birthday, on the birthday, before the birthday? It's going to vary based on notification. And then you have over here, I do have to put in a do not reply at ukg.com. But then we can configure that notification. So again, it's all just based off of what, who's this being sent to and what do you want it to contain. And I can use those tags to kind of help with that. And then I save it. And now every time a new hire is created in the system, it'll send a notification to, in this case, the person's account manager. And then there you can see all of our notifications. So again, just kind of a review. Any questions on that? Okay. Before I move on from notifications, we go to the reporting. Something I want to touch on that's kind of in the notification bucket, but I just want you to be aware of it. So these notifications are just like these are set notifications when something happens. Um, Sometimes though clients are going to want a more customized notification. And maybe it's based off of, a report or something like that. So for example, maybe a client wants to get a notification for when their employees hit a certain level of overtime or are absent, right? So just different things, something that's really customizable. It can be done, but it has to be done with a product that we would call not that we would call it, we do call it the email report generator. It's added through the marketplace. It does cost money, no clue how much. It needs to be added through the sales team. But if you were ever working with a client who shows some kind of interest on that and you're looking at the notifications and you're like, yeah, it's not really something we can do. I mean, you could run a report, but they're like, yeah, but I want to be notified. I don't want to have to do the digging every day. the email report generator may be the way to go. And basically what you can then do is create a custom report, which I'm going to show you how to do, and then when we get to charts and dashboards. But you could create a custom report, or you could show them how to do it. Whenever you create a custom report, it lives under the My Info, so the single person icon, under My Reports, and then My Saved Reports. So whenever you create and essentially do that save view as, it's going to live under here. And if they add on the email report generator, what you would see here is an icon on the report. It would look like a little envelope. And if you hover over it, it says something about email configuration. And you can literally just click in there, and it looks very similar to how we set up the notification that we just did. And basically, you can go in there and set the criteria to say, send this notification when this happens. But again, it's an added on product. You'll know if they have it, because if you do navigate to their custom reports and you see an email icon, then they already have it. But I just want you to be aware of the option. I'm not going to get into showing it to you because not every client's going to have it. And it's pretty self-explanatory when you get into it, but it is an option for your clients, but just do know it's going to cost. Questions on that? Okay. All right, I know I told you guys it's not the most thrilling day, but look at this. We're like halfway done already. Oh, I already went through notifications. Okay, audit reports. Let's talk about audit reports. There are several audit reports. I'm going to focus on three key ones, one kind of from each grouping. But there's a ton of audit reports, of course, in a software like this, and you're talking about managing people's time and money and all of this. It's probably pretty important that you be able to track on things. I'm going to introduce you to three of them. One is going to be time, one will be changes to the employee record, and one will actually be changes to the configuration. Okay. The first two the clients have access to. The last one of being able to track on changes to the configuration is actually only something you have access to. So you would have to be the one that would have to help your clients. Okay. So let's do the first one I want to show you is for account changes. And again, when we say account, we're talking about the employees. So the audit trail for that one is going to be under the single person icon. It's going to be under My Reports. And then we're going to come all the way down to the bottom to System Reports. Under System Reports is an option for Audit Trail. And then under Audit Trail, and as you can see, like there's a lot of audit trails. There's even more up here, but so this is just under the audit trail itself. But account info is the very first one. So I'm going to click on that. And it takes a minute to load because, of course, it's pulling up any modifications that took place to the account record or the employee record. I do want to call out that in the top right corner, it will always default to today. So if you're trying to help with a client or do some digging, make sure you pay attention to the dates, okay? But take a look at this. Just for today alone, I already have 40 changes. And basically it's because I changed the cost centers. So you can see here, like for Janet Cole, she went from not having a cost center at all to having the New Jersey cost center. Okay, so I could change the dates here and be able to see, when there's profile changes, things like that. So this one is going to show you all of the changes to the employee record. And then the best part, actually, let me not forget the best part, is that you can actually see who did it. So especially if there's like some big brother stuff going on, like maybe, the president's like, somebody's messing with my company, you can actually check to see who it is. Busted. Questions on that? Okay. The next audit trail I want to show you is actually up under My Reports. It's under the Time Reports. And then there's an audit trail within the Time Reports. So if you go under there, I am going to open up time entries. So this is one pretty self-explanatory. It's an audit trail for being able to see the time entries. And you've got modification dates and entry dates. So I'm actually going to open up both of these to this month. Oh, you guys, it's November 3rd. We don't have any. Let's go last month. There we go. Oh my God, it's November 3rd. Okay. So you can see this is for an audit trail for the raw entries. So I can see here on October 30th for Emily Williams, there's the start, there's the end, the change. It was actually something that was deleted. So it was probably me being fat fingered. And you can see here, like, okay, this was changed. You can see old value, new value, all of that stuff. So just being able to kind of track on those time entries. And again, scrolling over, you can see actually who did it. You can see their IP address, all of that information. Questions on that one? Okay, thanks, Kim. Okay. The next one is one that you are the only ones that have access to it. Super admins are the only ones that have access to it. This is not an audit report that the clients can get to, so we do have to have some intervention on this if it's something that they need. It's being able to track all configuration in the system. Before I show you how to do this, first let me show you what will help you when it comes time to help a client in this position. I'm going to navigate to the pay calc profile. You don't have to follow along with me if you don't want to. Under the pay calc profile, I want to show you this. When you're in the pay calc profile, you should notice that there are, next to the name, there's this system ID, and it's a bunch of numbers, okay? Let me scroll down to overtime because that's the one I want. When we look at the configuration audit trail, it's very, very, very overwhelming because it is literally every single change that happens with configuration is tracked here. So it can be very overwhelming. So whenever possible, you obviously want to filter that down to try to find whatever it is that you need to find. Well, in some places, not all places, but in some places within Ready, within the software, you'll find numbers. And here it says system ID. It's truly an object ID. You'll see this here. You should see this on the points profiles and the accrual profiles, things like that. So whenever we can capture an ID, it will help us. It doesn't mean that you have to have it to be able to track in the audit trail. It just makes things a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do here is I've got this highlighted. This is my double OT step. I'm going to copy this. And now once I've done that, I'm actually going to go ahead and close out of my company view and go look at the audit history. And this is exactly the reason why the clients can't get to it, because you can only get to it when you're outside the company. And obviously employees at the company always log in directly to the company. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of my account view. And yes, there is pathing in the menu that I could show you, but for this one, you might as well just use the shortcut. When you're back to your all system companies, if you go into the edit company, either by clicking the short name or the waffle icon, in the quick links, there is a link for view audit history. So if I click on that, it's going to pull up, and I want you to, again, take note, this is just for today. You guys, there are 189 changes just for today. Some of the changes that you'll see in here, you saw it with the cost centers. There's like here, let me put it to you in layman's terms, and then there's like technical stuff that has to tie with that when it happens that makes no sense. So a lot of times when there's a change made, there's kind of some additional entries that get put in there just to confuse you. But so just for today alone, I have 189 entries. So that's a lot, okay? What I'm going to now do, and that's why I say whenever you can, if you can get the object ID, get it. So what I'm going to do is in this object ID, I'm going to Control V it so that I can paste it. I have a space in there, so let me get rid of that. And I'm going to hit enter. Now you'll notice I don't get any results. Well, that's because I'm still filtered on today. I haven't touched that pay calc today. So that's why I don't have any entries. The last time I touched that pay calc was was that Friday? So let me change this to last week. And now I've got entries for that particular step that's in the pay calc. And the big thing that you can see here is look at the order index. As you can see, this is me moving it. The old value was number 7, the new value is number 8. And remember, I kind of did that back and forth. So you're able to see that. Here is the description of me actually configuring it. Okay. And then again, because it's an audit trail, one of the best things about this is you can actually see who made the change. So that's where, like, if you get a client who's like, somebody, I swear the accrual profile is set up, this is the way we've have it set up, but it keeps going back. Why does it keep changing? We literally could check to see if somebody's actually changing it or if they're just going a little cuckoo. Okay. Um, Okay, so I just got somebody chat about not seeing that system ID in the bottom corner of the pay calc step. I have had this happen in my classes. I have asked more people than I can count about what that is and why it wouldn't display. I unfortunately don't have an answer. You can check with your PSM or your delivery assurance manager to see if that's something that they know about. It should be there. I get most people that do have it, some people that don't. There's got to be some kind of setting, but I don't know what it is. Like I said, it's not something that you have to have because, again, you could do searches. There's other ways to filter, right? There's other ways that we could filter that out. You can look at, different days and things like that. Unfortunately, I just don't have an answer. But no, there's nothing that you did if you didn't see that system ID. Um, I'm hoping it's just something within our environment and it's something that you would see when you're working with your clients. But unfortunately, I don't have an answer. So you didn't miss anything, but unfortunately, I can't explain why it's not there. Yes, this report is outside the company. You're welcome. What other questions do you have about this? Okay, awesome. Well, hey, look, I told you. It's 9:46. We're almost done. We got 2 more to go. All right, let's do charts and dashboards then. Okay, if you are still, like, if you didn't follow along with me and you just kind of hang tight, that's great. But at this point, I do need for you to close out of your company view because what we're going to do is we're going to log in as Jane Brown. I want to log in as an employee to show you these charts and dashboards because those are pretty much the people that are going to be using it. So let's approach this from an employee view. Okay. So if you're still logged into your company as a system admin, please go ahead and close out. And I'm going to come back here and get back to my system, all system companies. So that way I can click that view employees icon. So I'll go ahead and for that double person icon there, go ahead and click view employees. And like I said, I want to log in as Jane Brown because she's the company admin. So she has the full access. Jane Brown's on the second page because she's the last person in the company. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the login as icon for Jane. Pardon me. Now, the reason that I'm going over this is because it's a fairly recent thing. Some of you, depending on how long you've been around in this world, may know that, and I can't remember if I've already touched on this, and if I have, I apologize. But in 2017, we received feedback from our partners, from our customers regarding the experience on the Ready platform. And based off of the experience, off of the feedback that we got, there was an initiative to update and enhance the user experience. Hence what we now have. It's been a process of converting converting companies over. That's how we found that bug about your guys' view. So again, once you log in as Jane Brown, up at the top, make sure you're in the .hcm view. But one of the things that really came out of the new view was this ability to have charts and dashboards and things like that. So it's a really good feature that you should be aware of so that way you can work with your customers on, and I just want you to be more aware of it, okay? So a couple things when we talk about the dashboard piece of it, what you'll notice from the main dashboard, first of all, these widgets can be configured, they can be moved around, they can be added, they can be taken out, whatever. But up at the top, you should see all of the dashboards that essentially align with the options that you have under the team icon in the menu. So here, there's a team dashboard for my team. There's a time dashboard for time. Accruals, you get the gist, okay? These dashboards are what they sound like. I could basically go into them and I could add information so that way I can quickly see, whatever information I want to put. And we're going to put information in these dashboards, but I've got to create it first. Pete, question?
My at the top, I don't have those across the top, but I do have them in my teams. So they're on the left-hand side, but I don't see them across the top.
Okay, so the reason, if you don't have these here, the reason you don't have them is because the new UI layout wasn't updated, which was from basics. Okay, so for anybody that does not have these, what you're going to need to do is in the menu, go under profiles and policies, go to new UI dashboard layout, and the layout that everybody is on the default layout. So if you click the pencil for that, there is an option for show domain dashboards. Make sure you check that off.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So check that off, click save. And then to get back, the easiest way to get back to the home page is just you can click the logo in the top left corner. So if you did not have them going vertically here, nope, that's horizontal. If you did not have them going horizontally here, you got to go update that in the new UI. Worked like a charm. Perfect. You're welcome. Okay. So before I start putting stuff in these dashboards, let's go ahead and we're going to save a report because what you can put in the dashboards are reports and charts. So we're going to go save both of those and then pull them in. So the report that I am going to create is going to be a calculated time summary report. That is going to be a report that would show me any employee that is working more than 3 hours of overtime. Okay. So to get to this report, we are going to go, this is a little bit of a pathing here. We're going to go under the team icon. We're going to go time sheets. Nope, I lied. I'm sorry. Time reports, calculated time. And remember, the reports that are under here are reports that are on time that has already been ran through the pay calc profile. So calculated time summary, oops, and then calculated time summary again. So my team, time, reports, calculated time summary, calculated time summary again. Now, when you first come in here, you're going to get this little red error because it's telling you you have to choose a pay period. So what we're going to have to do is just go into this little filter icon right here and just make sure that we're choosing what we want to view. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to change this to weekly. And it's saying that the pay period is on the current pay period. I'm going to actually change this to previous. Because remember, we added all of our hours into last week's pay period. So for the profile, it's going to be weekly. The pay period is going to be previous. And then I'll click apply. And now I'm able to see my employees. I don't know why I have Emily Williams in there. Emily shouldn't be in there. Profile weekly. Maybe I put her on the weekly. That's weird. I shouldn't have her on that. Oh well. Previous. All right. That's weird. I don't know why Jane and Emily are on there. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. So what we can see here for the report is basically along the top, you've got all your counters, and then you're able to see how many hours they had in each counter by employee. Okay, so we can see all of that. So what I'm going to do is create a custom report here, and I'm going to say that, well, and since I have some extra employees, I could change this up a little bit. Let's do this. I'm going to do you guys have Jane and Emily when you do it that way too? I'm just curious. do? Okay. Rich doesn't. Some of you do, some of you don't. Okay, I'll just keep it as 3 then. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a filter here in the column. I'm going to say that I want to view any employees that are over 3 hours of overtime, which obviously is not going to filter anybody out. It's going to keep it as everybody, okay? So I've got the greater than 3 here. Now remember, you can do your filtering here like this, or if you go into the filter icon, there's that column tab where you could put your filters in all at once. Like if you were going to filter by multiple, you could put them in all at once and then save yourself some time. But I've already got it here, so that's fine. Okay, so I've got that here. I'll hit enter. It's not going to change anything because obviously everybody's already over 3. But that's the way I'm going to keep it just so that I can show you the chart thing. So, all right, so this is not new. This is not rocket science. We've been doing this. This is cool. All right, here's where the fun part comes in. Just to the right of the filter icon, there's this little paper icon. If you click that, there is an option for view data, view charts, or view charts and data. I'm going to choose that. When I do that, it puts this gray box right below the chart, and it is for, or excuse me, right before the data, and it's for me to be able to pull in a chart. So now if I click the ellipses at the top of the gray box, just to the right here, I can create a chart. And when I do that, it opens up and shows me the different things and options that I have to create a chart. So I've got bar graphs, I've got a pie chart. Let's see, let me do, this time I will do a vertical bar chart. I actually don't care which one you choose, pick whichever one you want. For the data, I'll go ahead and do, let me change this to first name. More than likely, you'd probably use ID name, but because I want us to see the actual people's name, I'm going to change the x-axis to first name. The metric that we're tracking on here is going to be overtime, not double overtime. So let me change this to overtime hours. That's the metric I want to see. We'll keep the calculation as the summation. And then I'm going to go ahead and check off and enable all my labels. That way everything is labeled. And then you'll see at the very bottom, you can change the title of your chart. So I will change this to OT over 3. I'm a poet and I know it. Sorry, that was super cheesy. Uh, okay, so you can pick any type of chart you want, but the data that we're tracking on is the overtime hours, and you do just want to make sure you enable all those labels. Okay. So if I click save, I'm now, I have this beautiful chart that shows me the people and how many hours they have of overtime. So that's cool, that's pretty, that's nice. Great to have visuals, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because it's kind of a relationship here, I can create charts and reports as many times as I want, but the relationship with the dashboard is if I save this, it becomes something that I could pull into my dashboard so that I can quickly get to it without having to do a bunch of clicks. Okay, so let's save this view in the, you guys know how to do that, in the ellipses, top right corner. I'm going to do save view as, and I will name it OT over 3. If you want to make it your default, you can. Remember, the making it the default just means when you navigate to this screen through the menu, if you navigate to this screen, it would become the first thing you would see when you open it up. If you don't mark it as my default, then it just becomes something that's in the drop down here that you can choose when you get in here. Okay. Now, just to verify that I've got this saved, because remember, it's got to be a saved custom report in order to be able to pull it into the dashboard. In my menu, in my menu, under the same place I showed you before, under the My Info icon, I'm going to go down to My Reports and My Saved Reports. And I can see it here. As you can see, I use this company quite a bit. I just had a class before you guys, so I've actually got a couple in here. But there it is. I can see that it's here. And if I wanted to, I could open it up. I could run it right now. But I can see that it's in my saved reports. So cool. Now, because it's in my saved reports, I know that I can pull it into the dashboard. And there's two ways that I can pull it into the dashboard. I can do it directly from my menu. So if you come into the team icon and you take one of these menus and you open them up, you'll notice that there's a dashboard option under each one of them. Okay. So the big thing about which dashboards you add it to, you got to think about what type of report it is. This was a report that I got from being under the time menu, which means it has to be added to the time dashboard. I can't take this report and put it in the accruals dashboard. They have to relate. Okay. So I can click dashboard here and pull it in, or I can get to the time dashboard just from coming back to the home page and clicking on time. Preference doesn't matter. Okay. Once I'm here, you'll see there's an add button in the middle, and that's just because I haven't pulled anything in yet, but then there's always going to be an add button in the top right corner. And when I click add, you can see you can pull in widgets or reports and charts. And when you click on that reports and charts, you're going to get this pulled up, and you'll see there's a tab at the top for reports and there's a tab for charts. So you can pull in either one or both of them. And that's actually what I'm going to do. I have no clue which one is mine. Let's do this one. So I'm going to check that off. I'm going to do them one at a time. So I'm going to pull in the chart. And there it is. Okay, this is the one. So this is just right here. Just this little snapshot of the chart. And you'll notice I can do everything in here that I could if I actually navigated to the chart itself. There's my filter. I could change it to just view charts. I can do all of that. Okay. So that's cool. Report right here. If I wanted to actually go to the report page, I can click the name here, the calculated time summary. All right. So just cool, right? All right, well, let's say I like this, but I don't want to have to do this, right? Where I do this and then I've got to scroll and then I got to go back and that's just, I don't like it. That's too much. Okay, so I'll leave this as the data. So what I'll do here is now is click the add, do reports and charts, click on my charts tab, and select the chart that I just created. And now look, I have both. I don't have to choose. I can have both. And you'll notice that when I clicked on this, it shows you up at the top. You get 9 dashboard slots. I already have 2 selected, so I have 7 more that I could add, and that's per tab. You get 9 per tab, per dashboard. But now I can see everything both. So, you kind of think of it as like, all right, I'm an employee, I'm Jane Brown. Part of my job is to review the overtime reports. So I log in for the day. All I have to do is quickly click on my time dashboard, say, all right, I've got 4 people over. I'll send that report over to my manager and done. Okay. That's pretty cool. So customers can build this out to customize exactly what they want to see, 100%. And the nice thing is too, is let's say they have stuff in all of these tabs, right? Or in all of these dashboards. But maybe there's like 3 that are super duper important that they have to check. Like it has to be the very first thing that they do in their day. And it's one from time, one from schedule, and one from payroll. What they could do is customize their My Dashboard. The My Dashboard is the one that allows you to just pull them in from wherever they belong or from wherever they were. So the My Dashboard is completely customizable and it doesn't matter which menu option it came from. Pretty cool, I think. Now, before I have you practice and we can kind of open up this to conversation, one thing I do want to show you, I am going to pull up a audit report real quick. Time reports, audit, time entries. Some reports have not been converted to allow for this functionality. Here is an example of one. This is the time entries audit report. Notice how I don't have the same icons at the top, how I don't have that little paper icon that I can click to say, view charts and data. Some reports are just too robust to be able to allow for that. And so whenever you see it looking like this, which is kind of what I would call the old view, just know that you're not going to be able to do a chart with that. It just means you won't have that functionality. Okay. Majority of our reports are going to allow for it. The majority of the reports that clients are going to use is going to allow for it, but there are some that don't. So I just want you to kind of see that. Any questions on that? And then questions or comments on the actual dashboards themselves or the chart. Gregor, go ahead.
Yeah, reports like the one that you just show, the time entries, for example, are they still able to put on the dashboard or just
I don't know. Here, let me do this. You guys practice, and then let me test that. That way, you guys can get your practice in. But yeah, go ahead. Let me test that. That's a good question.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So yeah, guys, go ahead and basically do what I did. I want you to create a calculated time summary report that displays employees that work more than 3 hours of overtime. You can choose whatever chart you want, and sorry, multitasking. And then make sure you can add it to your dashboard. And when you're done, you can raise your hand. And I am going to test. Okay, so yeah, I just tested it. I saved the time entry audit trail report, and correct, it will not. Here, I'll show you. Let me pull this over real quick. It is not showing as the report that I can add. So yeah, if it's one of the old school reports, it does not have any functionality with the charts or the dashboard. So great question. Okay, for some reason when I look at the time, I have no info. So the employees of the manager doesn't matter. Oh, well, actually, no. Yeah, does Jane Brown, Annette, I'll check on your company. Give me just a moment. It could be that you don't have her as a group manager. Let me check on that. Oh, well, yeah, that'll do it. The company admin is supposed to be the group manager of the all employees. So yeah, if you don't have Jane Brown, then that would explain it. Let me take a look at the groups here. Yes, that is exactly it. So because that person, you've marked them, but we're logging in as Jane Brown, that means Jane Brown can't see anybody. So what you would want to do with that is just remove Katharina from the manager and add Jane Brown as a manager with all access. And as long as she's the manager of that all company employee group, then when you go to run that report, you'll be able to see that information. Yeah, David, it could be, but I know in the past that it has happened to other people, not just Ultimate. It's also been with other partners, which is where that's where I think there is. It's something because like Ultimate's kind of being treated as like the partner. So, like from a ready perspective, so it could have something to do with it. That's why I'd say reach out, many contacts that you have on your side to see because it does have something to do with somebody that's not like a legacy Chronos person. Yeah, and that if you just go into, so the navigation for groups is under the gear icon, and you can stay logged in as Jane Brown because Jane Brown's the company admin, so she has the same access. So if you're in as Jane Brown, stay that way. If you go into the gear icon and go under global setup, there's a sub menu for groups, and then click edit, and you're looking for the all company employee group, which is should be like the second one from the bottom, or for it's not the bottom, sorry, at the top. And you want to click the double person icon. And actually, if you want, you can keep the, is it Katharina as her manager? You just need to add Jane Brown as a manager. So in the top right corner, there'll be an add manager button. And in that manager field, just select Jane Brown and then check off all the boxes. And once you click add everything, you should be able to do the practice.
Okay, when I get to add manager
Hmm.
and the lookup is blank.
Right, you have to choose her. So choose the double person
So
icon.
click on the double heads
Mhm.
and then I did a search on the last name and she doesn't come up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, that's
That's wh-
duh, because she's not a manager. I'm sorry. Here, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let me fix this for you.
I'm so sorry.
She, no, 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 no. It's not you. I should have caught that. We can't do it as Jane Brown because since Jane Brown isn't a manager of that group, she can't see everybody. So we have to go in as a system admin. It's the same exact steps, but it has to be done as a system admin. So you just stay where you're at. I'll fix it so that way you don't have to bounce around. But it is just so you know that's how you do it. It's just I actually gave you the wrong instructions.
That's what I thought and I kept trying to do it and I was like, where is she?
Yeah, and it's duh, if she's not a manager, she can't even see herself. So yeah,
Right.
I will take care of her. My
Thank you.
apologies. That's
Sorry.
on me. No, 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 no. That's on me. You're good. I will fix that right now so that you can continue on. All right, madam, you should be good to go now. So you can just go back to the practice. Let me know if anybody else is running into any other weird issues. Good. I'm glad if you had an issue, you figured it out. That's awesome. Good job. Excuse me. That's okay. Do you want to tell me which step you missed so I can help you?
I'm viewing the chart,
Okay.
then I saved the view.
Mm-hmm.
But when I click on view the charts, there's nothing there. So I missed something.
All right, here, let me pull. All
Add a report.
right, hold on. Let me go back in to
I'm sorry.
don't you're
I feel
you're totally
holding
fine.
everybody up.
Stop. No, you're not. You're not at all, I promise. Don't apologize. You're good. Okay, let me just get into mine real quick.
I went too far out.
Okay. Paul, I know how to probably fix yours. Give me just one moment here. Okay, so Annette, you said you're in the report. And you created the chart. Did you save your report yet?
Yes,
Okay, so it's saved. And so now are you just trying to add it to your dashboard?
right. Because
Okay.
first I did the per pay period and then weekly previous and applied it, then did the three, greater than three overtime.
Hmm.
And I thought I saved it. Let me make sure. And then I went to the ellipsis and save, right?
Save US. Yep,
And then you cut a
you did
three.
too.
Sorry, I saved you, named it, then I hit save. That's
Perfect.
what I didn't do.
Oh, okay. So now,
Okay.
and this may go for several of you. Okay, so this is actually perfect, Paul. This is going to apply to you. Once you've saved the view and you know that it's
Uh,
saved, the way to check it is if you look next to save, it'll show up in your little drop down. That's how you know it's saved.
I was
We've
looking for.
seen we've seen this be an issue with multiple people, so this may be happening to multiple of you.
You,
If you're trying to go straight from here, and let's say you're going to go straight into, like the home page and go to the time and then try to add it. If you're doing this and it's not showing up under your tabs, I have found, I don't know why, I hope it's a bug that's being reported. What you have to do is almost go validate that the report is saved before you can do this. So if you're here and you know that your report is saved, but it's not showing as something that you can select, what I want for you to do is in the menu, go to your single person icon, go down to your My Reports, and then go to My Saved Reports. Make sure it shows here, which it should, because if you've saved it, so there it is. Then go back and add it to your dashboard. I have no idea why, but for some reason, navigating to this page is what makes it be something that you can add to a dashboard. So
I don't know if
navigate
it's
here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
my saved reports. You
Hmm.
if it's mine or yours.
It's yours because you're logged in as you.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Annette, you're cutting out. Let me put it in your chat. My reports, my saved reports, then add to the dashboard. And Annette, I just sent you a chat. Yeah, you and I are breaking up a little bit here. Paul, that worked. Awesome. Perfect. Great. I had a feeling. So then once I've seen it here, if we come back and go to the time dashboard and choose that add, you should see it as something that you can select. You're welcome, Annette. Yeah, that's okay. And if maybe you want to try to hop out and maybe hop back in and see if that, because I'm going to give you, just so you guys know, I'm going to give you about another minute. Because really for this is just more about just kind of playing around, getting a feel for it, so that way you know how to help your customers. So I'm only going to give you, pardon me, another minute, and then we're going to move on to mobile. So yeah, and if you want to hop off and maybe try to join back in, see if that fixes it, and then we'll be all good. Yes. Well, to create the chart, you actually do that within, yes, correct. To create the chart in the actual summary report on once you've done, here, let me pull this up. When you're in the report and it looks like this, right? So you got your data here. When you click the little paper icon to view charts and data, to add a chart, you click that ellipses in that gray corner to add your chart. Okay, guys. It's been about 2 minutes since I said I'm going to give you 1 minute. I know I have a few people with their hands down. That's okay. Is there any, uh, if you don't finish this practice all the way through, I'm not super concerned because it'll be part of your post work. And again, this isn't core fundamental time training. This is, just something that is a feature of Ready that I definitely want you to be aware of. But do you have any looming questions that you're like, I'm completely lost at this part, and even if I try to do this later, I'm going to be confused? Do you have any questions like that that I can answer before we move on? You're most welcome in that. Because I do understand I might be moving on even if you haven't finished, but I definitely, like, as long as you're comfortable with it, that's just the most important thing. All right, cool. All right, well then the last agenda item, you guys, that we have is to discuss mobile, which this is obviously something that you could be working with your clients. So with the mobile, we can actually stay logged in as Jane Brown. Since Jane Brown is the company admin, she obviously has full access here. So I'm going to stay logged in as her. In the menu, a couple of configuration items before I show you the actual mobile experience. So what we're going to do is in our menu under the gear icon, we're going to go to profiles and policies. And then we're going to go to the security profile because the security profile is what has the ability to enable mobile and to do a little bit of configuration. So under profiles and policies, I'm going to choose security. And the people that we'll be dealing with is our employee 2 people, because they're the ones that would potentially be logging in and out and things like that. So I'm going to take my employee 2 security profile. And if you scroll down on the left to the, on the left at the bottom, you'll already see your employee 2 profile should already have enabled mobile enabled. If it isn't, of course, please check that box. But once mobile's been enabled, we do have just a couple of settings we can change here. One, we can determine whether or not we want to save the login credentials. So you have do not save, save username, or save username and password. If you choose save username and password, you get this message that is basically like, are you sure you really want to do that? Because of course it's not going to be super secure if you're saving username and password, okay? But they do have options here. I'm going to keep it as do not save. And then we have some mobile punch settings here, which basically is just, do you want one button or do you want two? Kind of like how we had with the timesheet profile. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect the show simple punch, and just so we have the two. So there's not a ton of configuration with this, just a couple of things. But yeah, so I'm going to not save the login credentials, and then I'm going to deselect the show simple punch. Now, again, guys, you're welcome to do this with me. Otherwise, though, it's going to just be part of your post work. There's not a lot of post work, so I had to have something in there. So if you want to do it with me, you can, but otherwise, it's on your post work. Okay, the other thing that we're going to do while we're in here is under the personal data policy. So since we're going to let employees log in mobilely, we're going to do two things. We're going to put in a rule into the timesheet to make sure that we restrict their distance, so that they're not like, oh, it's 9 a.m. I'm supposed to be at work at 9 a.m. and I'm going to log in from my phone, and then I'm going to take a shower, and then I'm going to get my breakfast, and then I'll drive into the office, right? We're going to put something in that says, let's check their distance from their work location to make sure that they're not logging in like that, right? Well, with that, we also want to have the ability to store their location so that we can report on that later, because it's probably not something that you're going to just be like daily watching, right? So in order to do that, what we want to do is enable the personal data policy, and we want to make sure that we store the location of the punch. Where do you see the classic settings? Oh, the classic mobile preference. Yeah, there's no reason to use that because that's the old UI. Good question, guys. Yeah, just disregard the classic mobile preferences because we're not using those. So yeah, personal data policy, we're going to enable that, and we're going to make sure that we can store the location of the punch. That way we can report on it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save on that. And then, like I said, I want to be able to check the distance. That's something that I can do through the timesheet profile. I'm actually going to add a rule so that way when an employee punches in, the system checks their distance against whatever the settings I create. So in the menu, I'm going to navigate to my timesheet profile. Well, I've already got profiles and policies opened up here, so I'm going to go ahead and choose timesheets. And I can actually, so like, we can click the pencil and it goes into the timesheet. But what I actually have to do is add a rule. So instead of clicking the pencil and then clicking view edit rules, you can actually get directly into the timesheet rules by clicking this icon right here. Just like one less click that you have to do. So we've been in here, I've talked about this just a little bit. If you click the add rule, these are the different rules that you can add in based off of whatever the action is. So on approval, on populate, on punch. Well, the one that we're going to be adding is when an employee punches, we want to check the distance. So I'm going to click the flag to check the distance. And I'll click the pencil here, and you'll see what we can configure. Maybe. There we go. So I'm going to set this up to say on punch in, the employee should be less than, I'll just do 1 mile from, and then we get to choose. If we choose company, it's going to be based off of the address that's set up in global setup. If we do default cost center, it'll be the address that's on their default cost center. If we do working cost center, then that would be like if they changed, the cost center, it would be whichever one they're designating. And then home, which home is probably used quite a bit these days. Which actually I don't even think home was originally there a year ago. I think it's there now because of all of this COVID stuff. I'm going to go ahead and set it up to be company. So it'll be based off of the company address that's in global setup. Now, I always get this question, what's the lowest I can go? I can confidently tell you that 0.25, quarter of a mile, pretty solid. But there's really no blanket answer here because it's all based off of locations, right? Could you put a 1/10 of a mile in probably like a city location where there's cell phone towers everywhere and it's way easier to track? Probably. But if you're in some type of, rural area, that country town type, maybe not a lot of, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be kind of like a case by case scenario. And so, especially if you're doing implementation, kind of looking at best practices, working with, your managers and that of what that's going to be. 1 mile, definitely cool. And what I've heard from implementation consultants, that 0.25 is pretty solid. But outside of that, sometimes it's trial and error. Sometimes it's a matter of setting it up and then, seeing if it's going to work for that client and maybe adjusting fire after that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up as 1 mile and then save it. So now if somebody is more than a mile away from the company address and they attempt to log in, it would be rejected. They wouldn't be able to do that. Okay. What questions do you have on that? Pete, go ahead.
You can, and I'm assuming this, that I know the answer. I think you can restrict it so that they cannot punch in and out with those options that we just did on the security profile, so that the punches have to come from a computer, correct?
Yes, you
But
could.
they still
Yeah.
have the mobile experience with everything else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Great question. Jenny, go ahead.
What happens if they try to punch outside of the 1 mile?
Honestly, I can't really test it, but it wouldn't allow it. I don't know if it's gonna pop. It probably is gonna pop up a warning because there's nothing in here that gives like a screen disclaimer that you could manually configure, but it's just not gonna let them punch in. It'll probably give them a warning message regarding distance, but it will prevent them from being able to do that. Okay. Awesome. Okay, let me show you a report real quick, and then I'm gonna introduce you to the mobile experience. So let me show you real quick. It's an audit report, kinda. I have to remember where it is. Okay, under the team icon, nope, under the single person icon, under my reports, system reports. Yep, system utilities. All punches. There is all punches detailed and all punches summary. I'm going to do the detailed. So again, single person icon, my reports, system reports, system utilities, all punches detailed. If you come in here now, I'm not going to have anything because obviously I haven't been punching in. But basically you'll be able to see the employee, and then under the source type, it's going to tell you how they punched in. If it says session, that's the desktop. That's desktop. If it's mobile, it'll say mobile. And when it is mobile, you'll have a column in here that'll have a location, and it'll actually have the little, like the little Google pins, the little red pins that you get like on Google Maps. It'll have that. You can click on it, and it will literally open up Google Maps and show you where they are when they logged in. This is the whole with that security profile of enabling that personal data and being able to store the punch location. That's what allows this. Okay. West, I love known technology. I know, right? You can also see the map on the individual timesheets. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So the last thing I want to do for today, guys, let me open up Internet Explorer real quick. My favorite. I want to show you the mobile experience, and you can do that as long as you're working out of two different browsers. Because remember, if you're in the same browser, it's going to kick you out. I am going to go in and create a password for Mildred Babson so that I can log in as her. So I'm just going to go under her employee record. And this will be in your instructions, guys, as part of Postwork. So if you want to experience this, it'll give you the steps. Flip the new look. Okay, so her username is 1001. We already know that. So I'm going to set her password, and I'm just going to do password1 with an exclamation point, and I'm going to save that. And whenever you want to log in as an employee, what you have to do is take the URL, and you do it right from here. I'm going to copy it. And then in Internet Explorer, I'm going to paste it. But before I hit enter, I'm going to delete everything after the short name. So here's the company short name, AP TLM based training. And I'm going to do .home. And that's it, .home. And when you do that, you're now going to be able to have the mobile experience. And now I can log in as Mildred Babson. So I'm going to do the 1001. More, it always locks me out. So I'll show you here how to fix that. I don't know why it does this, but it always locks out. So since it did that, what I'm going to do is pull this back over. I am going to kind of refresh this screen by going out and coming back in, and see how it now shows that she's locked. I'm going to deselect that and then just click save. And then it'll let me do it again. I don't need to reset the password because the password was fine. She was just logged out or locked out. So there we go. Now I will create a new password. And you guys can do whatever password you want. That's why I'm not concerned about giving you the instructions on that. And now I am logged in as Mildred Babson. But remember, I'm trying to come at this from like what the mobile experience would be. So I obviously can't pull up my cell phone here and show you that. So what I'll do here is just try to kind of squish it down and make it into like what a cell phone would look at. And you'll see it's very responsive. So like here's like maybe like what a cell phone would look like, right? But if I pull it, oh, where'd you go? If I pull it out, maybe into, come on, seriously? There we go. So maybe like a tablet view, you can see how kind of that updates. It's very responsive. Same thing with the menu. So let me shrink this down here. As I click in the menu, you can see how it's responsive to the type of experience that I have. It's not getting all squishy. Okay. So it just gives you an opportunity to kind of see what the mobile experience looks like. The mobile experience, actually, the new UI that we got was actually mobile came first because our mobile experience was not the greatest, and then we mirrored our desktop version to the mobile. Fun fact. Well, David, you shouldn't have to use an authenticator when you're logging in as the employee, but to unlock, it's in the employee record. You'll see that she's checked off, and then you have to unlock it. But she shouldn't require an authenticator because as long as you're copying the URL up at the top. But yeah, once the account's been locked, if you just, actually you should just be able to save it and then it'll let you unlock her. Oh, okay, gotcha. Tracking. And that's the mobile experience. What questions do you guys have? I told you, 10:38. This would be the normal time we would take a break. Day 6 is always the easiest. Probably not the most exciting, but at least it's the easiest. So what questions do you have, guys? Anything? Okay. Postwork's gonna be super easy. I think it does have you maybe go through and create a notification, the chart and dashboard, which if you did it in class and you finished it in class, obviously that's already done. And then it does give you the instructions on how to do the mobile. So if you want to experience that, you can. None of that affects anything we're doing tomorrow. So it's more just for you to kind of play around with it. But there is, like I said, the most important piece of your postwork tonight is for you to create your troubleshooting company. Um, for tomorrow. So I'm going to send the postwork. I need to update the troubleshooting company real quick before I send that postwork out. But please do that tonight. I've had people wait until the morning and then the system gets bogged down and it takes a really long time for it to get created and then you fall behind. So please make sure you get your troubleshooting company created sometime tonight. Okay. So I'll get you that postwork out here in just a moment. I just need to fix the company before I send it out. And then, yeah, and I'll get you the recording and everything will be gravy. So thank you. Nice, easy day. Don't tell anybody it was such an easy day and maybe you can get a couple extra hours in. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and I'll talk to you tomorrow.